Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So I wanted to talk about The Ones Who Live. Actually, I want to talk more about Comic-Con because Comic-Con is not this weekend coming up, but it's the weekend after. And it's actually going to be a pretty big weekend overall because The Walking Dead is going to be at Comic-Con, but also at Palais Fest. And it's not just for Daryl Dixon, but Dead City's going to be there as well. And there's supposed to be some sort of like sneak peek or something that we're supposed to see. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see what that's actually going to be. I don't think we'll get a trailer, like an official trailer or anything like that, because the show is still a couple of months away, but I think we should get some sort of teaser trailer teasing, the new story and whatnot, a lot more details about the season, because Daryl Dixon's going to be airing over the next like month, but then after that, we'll probably have like a 2-month break or something until Dead City airs, or maybe 3 months. And so yeah, it makes sense to promote that show quite a bit, because honestly, in terms of Dead City, that show's been very quiet. I mean, literally the show finished airing in July or something like that of last year, like in 2023, so kind of insane. But yeah, I do want to talk about The Ones Who Live, or I guess more specifically Rick and Michonne, and whether or not we should get an announcement at all regarding season 2 of that show. And so I want to get into that here and also talk about, I guess, a lot of reaction to, the possible news that we could get next Friday. So make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. And also definitely make sure to leave a like down below. I never really say to like, leave a like or anything like that. But yeah, I figure I would just mention that in this video here. But yeah, so what I really want to get into here is regarding season 2 and a possible announcement that we could get next weekend at Comic-Con. Now, I do think overall, it's very unlikely. I think that there's a chance, there's a possibility, but I think that getting a whole announcement of like, okay, we're doing a season 2 is just, it's not something that I'm really expecting. But I do think that, Scott Gimple giving some sort of update at all, I think that is definitely very likely. I think that if he's asked about The Ones Who Live season 2, or, could Rick and Michonne return at some point in the future, this and that, or like, are you working on something? Can we see them back, very soon? I think depending on what he says there, that's what could really be, really exciting. Because I will say The Walking Dead right now needs excitement, because it's just overall in a place where, again, I really like watching Daryl Dixon season 2 and then Dead City season 2. I'm so excited for that show. But I just think that overall, the universe hasn't been the most exciting since The Ones Who Live ended. And really it's because of the finale. It did disappoint a lot of people. And so a lot of people's excitement overall, like that was the big thing that we were looking forward to for many years, right? And The Walking Dead needs that. I'd say that like a lot of franchises need things like that, like a bigger story or a bigger thing happening in the future, right? Like Marvel does that really well, and a lot of franchises in general, I think that they announce stuff to happen more in the future, or maybe there's going to be crossovers, this and that, and they talk a lot about that. I would say The Walking Dead for the last however many years, since Rick Grimes left the show, that was really like the big excitement there. And yes, a couple of years things really seemed like, I always knew that the story was going to be happening, but a lot of people were doubting it. They were like, what, this is not happening. And whenever I would do a video on it, you would see those same comments of just like, it's not happening, Andrew Lincoln doesn't want to do it anymore, this and that. And I was always like, well, no, like, yes, it's been very quiet and they're always giving like little updates here and there, but like there's no way they're just going to leave the story there. Like Andrew Lincoln will come back at some point, right? And then obviously we got the announcement of The Ones Who Live, a couple of years ago. And so with this show here, it makes a lot of sense. And I still see those same comments, of just like, it's never going to happen. Like you don't need to do a season 2. And I even asked the question on X, actually. I was like, could we see a The Ones Who Live season 2 announcement next weekend at Comic-Con? Almost every comment for the most part is no. And there's some comments saying, like there's hope, but I'm pretty sure like most of it is like, no, I'm not expecting that at all. I don't think there's going to be any sort of announcement or anything like that. And I think that makes sense in terms of, are you expecting an announcement? But when you look at what they've said all year, and I'm not going to get into all that because I've talked about that a lot, but when you look at what they've said all year, they're really hinting at the fact that it seems like there's going to be something that does happen. I just don't know how far along in the process they are in terms of writing all of that, right? Like Denai Guerrera seems to know a lot more because she's not saying anything. And based off those interviews that were happening, in the last couple of months here, like it looks like her and Gimple are talking about stuff. They're talking about musicals, this and that. And so if you're talking about musicals and you're talking about The Walking Dead, like, are you just joking around about stuff? It seems like you're talking about stuff that you can do like with The Walking Dead. So to me, it seems like they're overall discussing stuff, right? And that's after The Ones Who Live aired. Again, that was like a couple of months ago. So I think that they are talking, they are working on stuff. It's just, can we get an announcement next weekend? Again, I think that makes sense in terms of Gimple saying something and maybe just saying, well, we're talking, and that's all I can really say as of right now. And I think an update like that would be really exciting, obviously, because the last thing that they said, or at least in terms of what Gimple said, because what Gimple said earlier in the year is that he's hoping that the story goes somewhere, he's really wanting to do that story, this and that. And so I think that if there's any sort of change from that, that's really exciting, right? And Denai Guerrera, obviously, she's been very quiet about it. Like, she's saying, no, I can't say anything, this and that. Andrew Lincoln is saying, he's very open and all that. So that's where all of that stands. And this is the next, moment where we could get a really big update. So that's why I'm so excited for next weekend. And again, it's on October 18th. There's 2 events, actually. So if it doesn't happen the first time, I'm assuming the next day, there's another chance for that question to be asked at some point, right? So Friday, October 18th, I believe, is Comic-Con. And then October 19th on the Saturday is going to be Palais Fest. I could have the dates mixed up, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is, right? So I do think that, there's going to be some sort of talk about it. There's going to be something. There's no way they're going to be able to not talk about it at all. There's going to be some sort of mention about it. I just don't know, in what respect. And I don't think Andrew Lincoln or Denai Guerrera are going to be there. I'm not really expecting that at all. I just think that The Walking Dead right now needs some sort of announcement. And I'll do a video talking about more of this if we do learn some more details anyways, maybe next week or going into Comic-Con that day, right? So any details that we learned there, I'll do a video breaking down all of that. I just think that The Walking Dead needs something else right now. It needs a lot more life, because the thing about The Ones Who Live is that it was really just underwhelming, just in terms of, I guess, the bigger world of The Walking Dead, because I really expected it to be, a show that would connect a lot more things to like Madame Genet and all of that. And yes, I do understand that they are doing more story for season 3, and obviously the story is going to get, even crazier, this and that. But I just felt like in terms of a connection there, it was pretty easy to make, but I guess they just never really did that. And so I think that what Gimple needs to do right now is create a lot more hype, I would say, for The Walking Dead, because he's the one running The Walking Dead. He's the one that is, creating all of the shows, creating all the connections and all of that. And it just feels like they're not really doing that anymore. And I think they need some sort of announcement, just something, because season 2 of The Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon, is fun, but it's just not the same as, watching season 1. And it really has nothing to do with the story of the show. Like, honestly, I'm appreciating all of that on its own, but it's just like, I don't know where this is leading overall, right? Like, I'm watching it and it's fun, but I want it to matter overall. And like, even if they said, Rick and Michonne are coming back in a couple of years, or like, we're going to have a crossover with Daryl, or like Morgan's going to be on the show or something, like, that's something to really look forward to see how the stories are going to connect overall. And again, with Dead City having crossovers there, for like season 3 and 4, if Dwight's going to be on that show, like, I think stuff like that you really need. Like, I just think that that's the one thing that I see a lot. Like, we just want that excitement again, right? And I think that focusing on, the stories like they're doing right now, where it's just literally 2 shows and not a lot of episodes. Yes, Dead City is 8 episodes now, so that's really good. But, just 2 shows and there's not a lot of story there. And honestly, it really is unfortunate that we have to wait like a year between seasons when there's only 6 episodes per season, because it feels like we watch it and the story is just, we rush through it so fast. There's not a lot of time to live in the story overall. And I think that's what was really great about The Walking Dead, was the fact that we had a full season airing over, not over a year, but over however many months that was, right? You'd have the first half airing and then the second half airing. And so you had a lot of time to spend with the characters and all of that. And I just think that that's sort of, something that is missing right now. And again, the spinoffs I think are overall fine, but I just think that you need to connect the stories a lot more here and have more characters, appear in these spinoffs. I get it, for Daryl Dixon, that's probably a little too hard to do, but there needs to be a bigger world here created, a lot more of, a connections here between the shows. And I think announcing something with Rick and Michonne in terms of, I have no idea why. Like, honestly, you don't even have to make an official announcement or anything, but just say like, well, one of the things that I would really like to do is have other crossovers with other characters, right? Like, have like a character like Morgan maybe be, in a future story. But there's a lot of things we're looking at right now. A comment like that, people are going to be really excited about, because that's what everyone wants, right? So I would say that that's one of the things that needs to really happen at this year's Comic-Con, is Gimple needs to announce or tease something here for the future, right? Because it's been many months now of just, a lot of fans feeling like just really not that hopeful for the future of The Walking Dead. And yes, obviously there's reasons to be hopeful, but you just want to hear it, right? Like, you want to hear it from Gimple. You do want to hear a lot of these conversations. And so, yeah, again, you want to build up hype overall, right? And so The Ones Who Live season 2, I think that that is a way to do that. Like, you don't even have to say a release date. You don't even have to really confirm that it's happening or anything like that, but just saying that we're talking, you know, and we're kind of like working on stuff. Like, we'll have to wait and see. Like, I have no idea, but you know, we are talking. So that's all I can really say. Something like that, people will be like, okay, so they actually are talking about something. They are working on something. And that would be really exciting, I think, for everybody. So I'm just hoping that, you know, there's something like that at Comic-Con, that it's not just a focus on Daryl Dixon or like on Dead City, because again, I'm really enjoying those shows. I like those shows, and all the reviews for the shows right now are really great. Honestly, I'm really happy to see that. But just personally for me, I want a little bit more here, because we were really in an amazing place last year, seeing how all the shows connected and all of that. And it was so cool to see the spinoffs and just like, you know, thinking about the future, like, you know, season 3 of these shows, like what would that be like? Like, would certain characters cross over to this show? Could Dwight be on Dead City? There's a lot of talk about Alicia potentially being on Dead City, right? So I just think we need to see a lot more here, and even announce a new Walking Dead spinoff. I think that would be really exciting. So yeah, anyways, I'm going to leave it here though. Definitely post all your thoughts down below. What do you think we could hear at Comic-Con next Friday? So it's not this Friday coming up. It's Friday, October 18th. Do you think we could hear about The Ones Who Live Season 2? And what are your thoughts on the current state of the Walking Dead universe? Because I think that they need to hype up the world again, because it doesn't really feel like everything is that exciting. Because, I mean, the story's really great. And I think that's one of the things that, honestly, for me, I was surprised by when I watched The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon Season 2. Like, going into the show, I was excited for it, but I just really wasn't feeling, I don't know, all that hyped about The Walking Dead, right? I felt like that all summer, to be honest. And so watching the first episode and even the second episode, I was just like, wow, actually, this is really great. And I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. And it's a reminder of just how great The Walking Dead can be. And that's why I sort of started doing this video, because I was like, you know what, Comic-Con is next week. I think that this is really the perfect time to announce something like this. Like, you do need to create some hype. And so I'm hoping that Gimple does that. I hope that AMC does that. I think that The Walking Dead can really be such an amazing thing. And I'm really looking forward to Comic-Con and just all the events happening that weekend. And obviously I will break down everything that we learn. And so, yeah, so stay tuned for all of that. But make sure to be a subscriber if you want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. And I'll see you in the next one.